Okay, let's just dive in. I'm going to give a bit of an introduction, some background, so as people join, they won't be missing too much. And let me get to the right screen. Okay. Hello, hello. My name's Elise Garrick, and today we're talking about Seasons of Wellbeing, our 2026 theme. And I'm so excited about this. This is something that we have thought about a lot as a team. And it's a really interesting, kind of unique approach because we've divided our theme into quarters, which I'll dive into in a minute. But each month, we create a packet of materials that go along with our theme. So, newsletter, flyers about trends in the wellness industry or different chronic conditions, recipes, a mini challenge. We find different things to read, to watch, to listen based on the theme. And you can access all of these materials on the GBS Benefits website in our Learning Center. And many of you might be receiving these emails, but um, a lot of work, a lot of thought goes into these materials. And if you are interested in what we're talking about today, there's going to be new materials every single month that you can read, that you can share with your employees, your coworkers, your friends, and kind of work through our theme, our year of 2026 together. So it's cool. It's really exciting. And like I mentioned, we've broken every quarter up into a sub theme. And the idea behind this is to utilize the natural changes that we have in our energy and our motivation to our advantage throughout the year. So today we're going to be talking about the history of our calendar, our biological clock. Why do we have that shift in changes of energy and motivation? How can timing make developing healthy habits easier or making behavior change easier? What are the different seasons? What does that look like? How can we apply that to our goals? And then lastly, we have some resources and take home things. So, first, we're going to talk about the calendar, the Gregorian calendar. Have you ever heard it called this before? I didn't even know that it had a term like this, but it's interesting. Why do you think we start the year in January? Um, it's all we've known, so it kind of made sense in my brain just because that's all I've known every year. January just seems like a new, fresh start. But actually, we originally began the year in March when we used the Roman calendar. March was the beginning of the year, the new start, spring, the natural new year, they called it. And back in 1582, so forever ago, Julius Caesar, he reformed the calendar and he moved the start of the year to January. The reason he did that was he named it after Janus, the Roman god of beginnings and transitions. And then they used that as kind of a symbol looking forward and backward, making it more of a symbolic gateway into the new year. So it was a lot more to do with symbolism and tying it to that God that they worshiped. And instead of, going with kind of the natural cycles of when the earth kind of woke up after winter, which is interesting. So our calendar year is man-made. It doesn't go along with our biological year, which is more nature-made. And that's what we're going to talk about next is this thought of the biological clock. And humans really do have this natural energy cycle. I mean, if you think about just the way that the seasons progress, different variations and periods of dormancy throughout the year. Maybe you tend to kind of get more tired and want to be cozy in the winter, right? And spend more time indoors, and that's just a result of changes in daylight, temperature shifts. This used to be due to seasonal food availability or even social rhythms like school starts in the fall, that kind of is a natural reset for people. Holidays, vacations typically happen in the summer. And humans have evolved with these seasonal patterns. They've kind of shifted the way that they do things just because that's what's been socially acceptable. And these rhythms really do influence a lot of things like our mood, our energy, our sleep, our motivation, even the way our immune system functions. And understanding these natural yearly rhythms helps us care for ourselves in kind of a different way that the traditional calendar never really accounts for. I mean, if we think about this in nature and how plants and animals utilize these cycles, I mean, you think about animals that hibernate, and in the fall, they're preparing for that. They're gathering food, they're creating that source of energy before they hibernate in the winter. Or even things like trees, they bloom in the spring and then the leaves fall off in the winter so they can conserve their energy. And they have a dormancy period before spring happens again. So that's kind of an interesting way to see how nature does it. And maybe that's something that we used to do, but with society changes and technological advances and having to work, every day to not depending on the season you're in, right? That's something that we have maybe lost as a society. And the reason this matters is because research shows that habits are easier to maintain when we do them at the right time of day and even the right time of year. So, if we're misaligned with those things, we typically tend to experience things like more stress, lower motivation, difficulty sticking to routines. It's like trying to wake up earlier in the winter. It is a little bit harder because it's cold, it's dark, or expecting you to work at your peak productivity levels during an afternoon slump, or starting an intense fitness routine when your energy is the lowest. But if we do try to align these things, we usually experience better focus, more consistency with less effort, improved mood. It's easier to build routines. We experience more energy. So, the whole idea behind utilizing this to our advantage is choosing the best time to build routines, reducing burnout by honoring these cycles, and therefore improving your sleep, improving your productivity without having to work harder, and really feeling more in control of your day and allowing it to be just easier instead of trying to force yourself into these things. So let's talk about some of these seasons, some of the practical applications that go along with it. Winter, you might think of this as the dormancy season. So, what do you notice about your energy in January and February? January, it's the beginning of a new year. It's very normal to feel excited, refreshed, to have a full year in front of you. But how long does that usually last? I mean, we know from the statistics that people struggle to meet their New Year resolutions, their goals, usually because they lose that sense of excitement and that motivation. And naturally, winter is usually cold depending on where you live, but the days are shorter, and it's when your body tends to have this natural downtime. The daylight shortens, the brain quite literally shifts gears with your attention and focus, reaching a low point during winter solstice. And your body is producing more melatonin during the winter months. And it's just kind of natural to experience that type of mood fluctuation. Your body starts to crave rest and warmth and slowness. So, this has been historically a period of conservation and survival. And how does this apply when we think about our goals and our intentions? So, this would be a great time to establish consistency within your goals. It would be a great time to build simple daily routines, to reflect on what's working and what's not working. Instead of focusing on big performance goals, it's ideal for creating that sense of stability. So, things like getting to bed within the same 30-minute window. That's really simple and easy. It's following that principle of consistency. Spending 5 minutes journaling, moving your body every day, or reducing unnecessary commitments. These are, again, focused on building routines, consistency, simpler way of living, and just general overall reflection. Spring is sometimes called the awakening season. So, as daylight lasts longer, your memory performance works better, your body decreases producing so much melatonin, you start producing more serotonin. Sun exposure causes people to usually have more motivation, and this is a great time to look at making some changes, maybe focusing on some more goals, being more productive. And in other words, spring is often the best time to focus on behavior change and to really capitalize on that biological enthusiasm. This time of year reflects the body's natural motivation peak. It's the perfect time to introduce new wellness habits. And it's interesting to think about people don't often pause in the spring to think about that. That's usually a beginning of the year, January type thing. But if we kind of split our year up into these quarters and focus on each quarter differently, then we're able to utilize our natural energy and motivation levels to our advantage. So that looks a little bit more like, okay, we've worked on consistency. Now let's ramp it up a little bit. Let's get a little bit more focused. Let's add one new healthy meal per week. Let's restart one habit that you paused during the winter. Let's spend more time outside. Instead of working on consistency of moving your body every day, let's ramp it up and let's start a new program, or let's start doing some of these sports that maybe you can't do during the winter because the weather doesn't allow for it. Let's refresh our routines, increase movement, revisit the goals that you maybe have thought about doing at the beginning of the year. This is the perfect time for that. Summer is the peak performance season, and this is usually where people reach their highest activity levels. And this is generalizing, right? Some people really don't like the heat, really don't like the summer weather, the summer months. So this might be different for you, but in general, this leads to increases in testosterone, which increases performance capacity. And daylight is obviously at a high. Days are longer then. Usually, people are more social. You have vacations planned or summer break if you have kids. And those are some things that you need to consider as well. And this looks a little bit like maintaining your habits, but allowing some flexibility for those vacations or more time with your kids if they're out of school. Increasing social connections, inviting people over for a barbecue, moving your body in enjoyable new ways, the ways that you can do in the summer when you go swimming or paddle boarding, practicing presence and enjoyment. So, instead of focusing on your goals really rigidly and focusing on perfection, you want to try to be a little bit more flexible and keep some type of anchor habit while letting the rest ebb and flow as your schedule allows. Spend time with people who energize you. Keep a consistent routine despite travel. Disconnect from technology more intentionally and really focus on being present. Fall is called the preparation season. And again, this can be related to what we were talking about earlier with if we think about nature and we think about animals getting ready to hibernate, this is kind of the perfect opportunity for us to think about the upcoming season. So winter is pretty difficult for some people, seasonal affective disorder, just, the winter blues, feeling that letdown of the excitement of the holidays and then post-holiday depression can hit. So, really preparing for those types of things, if that's something you struggle with, this could be something that you want to focus on during the fall. And as energy begins to conserve for the winter, humans enter this natural nesting period where resources are conserved. Activity usually starts to travel indoors as the weather changes. People are starting to prepare for that. And things like gentle introspective activities that promote reflection are really easily and well accepted during this type of season. People also try to have this desire to reset a routine. Usually that kind of stems from going back to school. If you have kids, it's kind of that new, fresh start of a school year, and summer's over. Maybe the flexibility or chaos of summer has kind of disrupted some of those routines. So this is a perfect opportunity to reflect on that and then move forward with purpose. Some examples might be reestablishing some structure routines like we start to meal plan to reduce some weekday stress. Let's set some boundaries as your schedules fill up. Kids start doing school activities, sports, whatever. Let's set some boundaries and what you want that to look like. Let's improve our sleep hygiene and strengthen stress management habits that usually come with things picking up. The holidays are coming up, that kind of thing. Let's reconnect with mindfulness and breathing practices. This is a great opportunity, again, to just check in on what habits are supporting you, which ones do you need to adjust. Again, fall is about preparing, not pushing forward, not forcing things, but setting yourself up to feel more supported during the winter. So we have this idea of a yearly seasons of well-being split into quarters. And January, again, is typically when we set these goals, these intentions for the year. But what if we looked at it from that lens? Let's look at it from a quarterly lens. Let's look at it from our biological clock. When do we feel the most motivated? Some questions that you might want to consider for this. Which part of your days feel naturally most productive? Are you a morning person? Are you a night person? Do you like to exercise in the mornings or the evenings? If you miss that window, are you going to do it otherwise? Let's prioritize that. Let's adjust our schedule and our day to get the things done that we need to when we know we'll be able to get them done successfully. What season of well-being are you personally in right now? I know it's tradition to set New Year's resolutions, but if that doesn't feel right for the phase that you're in, then let's not force it. Let's not try to, write down all these goals that will not be following through with in a month, in a week. Let's instead focus on some intentions, some words for the year. What do you want to focus on? Maybe it's quality. You want quality time, quality people. Maybe it's presence. You want to be present with your kids and your loved ones. Whatever that is, let's just focus on maybe just an intention for your year. Or what small shift could help you align better with your biological rhythm? After what we've talked about with each season, do you kind of resonate with any of these things? Do you think, okay, winter, yeah, I actually feel that. I don't feel like this is the best time for me to be starting these big, intense changes and goals. Maybe instead I should be focused on small things or reflection. That's what we chose for our first quarter theme is to reflect, to clarify your why, your priorities, and your routines. So this might be something that resonates with you. For our second quarter, we chose strengthen. So building resilience through your community, through your capacity, and then caring for your body, strengthening your body. For the third quarter, we chose create. So summer is usually the time, or excuse me, yes, summer, because it's starting with winter. Creating joy, creating simplicity, creating connection. And then lastly, rest. Resting your body, resting your relationships, resting your senses. That time of year when we kind of want to hunker down and get cozy. Let's think about how to rest your body, how to especially in December, resting your senses, that might feel counterintuitive with the holidays. Usually we want to make sure we fit everything in that we can, but this is the perfect opportunity for you to pause and think about what is best for you and your priorities, and where you want to be. I wanted to highlight this little mini challenge. This was something that we highlighted in our January resources, and it's a bingo resolution card. So, last year this was really popular. People would, instead of writing their New Year's resolutions down, they created a yearly bingo card. So, 2026 bingo, what do you want on your bingo card? And then it just kind of felt like a fun, easy way to highlight some different things. It's non-committal. You can work through the card as you want. You can focus on one thing at a time, crossing them off, trying to get five in a row, or filling up your whole card with fun things that you want to accomplish for the year. So if you scan this QR code, it'll take you to this little brief synopsis, and then within that, there's a link for you to have a template of your own so that you can create a 2026 bingo card and fill it out with whatever activities or things that you want to do. Before we get to our last couple slides, I want to ask everyone if they have any ideas or thoughts to type them in the chat of things that they've done that have worked well for them, whether it is bingo resolutions. Another popular thing I'm seeing is these punch cards where you create your own punch card and maybe you want to read 10 books. So you draw 10 little books on this card, and as you do that, you can punch one off each time. Um, what are some things that you guys have done that have worked well for your resolutions, your intentions? Um, I want to give you an opportunity to share with us so that we can all learn together. I don't do resolutions anymore. I only do New Year's intentions. Yeah, I think that that's a wonderful shift that we've been seeing the last few years is that idea of how do I want to be intentional? Maybe, again, those yearly themes have been super helpful. The one I chose, I shared earlier, was quality, feeling like I have quality time with my kids, quality relationships, quality food, and quality consumption of social media or media in general. Someone said this year I got a tiny notebook for Christmas that has 100 blank pages for adventures in it. So far, I'm 6 adventures in. That's really fun. That's a fun way to look at life. How many adventures can you do this year? Um, Even if it's like small, simple things. I have twin boys, they're 4, and sometimes I'll use fun words like that to get them excited about just, going to the grocery store with me. I'll say, we're going to go on an adventure, and this is what we're going to do. And even though I'm a lot older than that, I think just phrasing things in a little bit more fun way would be just as good of a way to kind of trick my mind into enjoying some of those daily things. Sticker charts, just as motivating as for adults as when we were kids. Yeah, no, that really is true. I only make silly resolutions now. They make me happier and bring me more joy than self-improvement ones ever did. This year, I'm eating as many different shapes of pasta as possible and playing more card games. That's really fun. I love that idea. Something that I've done in the past has been a bucket list, and I will do them seasonally. So I did a spring bucket list when I was pregnant with my baby now because I wanted to have something to look forward to. So I put things on there for my kids to enjoy as well, but I would put their stuff on there for me that was just silly. Like I had put see baby ducks because that was one thing I wanted to do in the spring that would just bring me joy and something that was easy to mark off. And that's just another fun way to kind of spice things up. Just going with that, I'm motivated to do in the moment versus forcing it. Love the punch card idea. Yeah. Again, just like thinking through when you're motivated the most and using that to your advantage. Okay, I love all of these. So, different things that we've covered today. Your energy changes because your biology changes. And that's an interesting way to approach the year. Just something that I hadn't really thought about until we came up with this idea of the quarterly seasons, the seasons of well-being. And again, using that to your advantage so you don't feel like you're forcing yourself to do things that just are not clicking. Timing makes healthy habits easier, creating intentions rooted in seasons of well-being. I want you guys to think about what we've talked about today, and I want you to take one thing and apply it, whether it's finding something fun to kind of spice up 2026, whether it's that bingo card, a bucket list, the punch cards, the sticker charts. Let's make it fun. And let's pick something like that, or maybe it's I want to focus on intentions rather than resolutions, or maybe it's something like thinking seasonally, what works best for you? Do you love the summer? Or is summer really hard for you? What are some small, simple things you can do to kind of switch that? Do your seasons look different from mine because summer is something that you don't look forward to? Maybe that's more of your dormancy season. It can be different for everyone. So I want you to think through, pick one thing that you're going to try to apply today and share that with someone. I think that when we make this shift, when we align our goals with these natural rhythms, well-being becomes a little bit more sustainable. It becomes more achievable because it's not, again, something that we're trying to force ourselves into. It's something that tends to flow a little bit more, and it's a little bit easier that way. So, thanks so much for joining. I really loved this idea of seasons of well-being. I hope you did too. If this is something that you have found interesting, again, go on to GBS Benefits, go to the Learning Center and check out our monthly materials every month as we come up with new mini challenges that go with each monthly theme and share those with your friends, your family. We have a few minutes left, so if anyone has questions or if they have anything that they want to share, with everyone, that would be great too. So thank you again so much for joining. I hope you have a great day. You're welcome, everyone. Oh, there's a link to our January materials in the chat if you're interested. Check that out. Thanks, everyone. Yep, have a good day.